Hi guys, this is Simeon. Over a year ago, I made a video called You Will Love These Wood Stoves, and I showed you all the different wood stoves that we use in our house. It has been a very popular video. I know a lot of you guys love it. Shortly thereafter, I promised that I would make a video about the wood floors on the farm because I think, and I know many others will think, they're extraordinary and really pretty wood floors. A wood floor is something very special. So here is the video that I promised over a year ago. Now, if you live on the homestead and you have forests and you have a band sawmill like we do, our wood miser, wood becomes a resource that's not only beautiful, sustainable, amazing, it's also cheap if you don't count all the hours of work you put in it. So here in the workshop, when my dad renovated this building, this was an open barn, there was no walls, no insulation, nothing. He put this floor in, and this is spruce tree that we cut down on our homestead. We fell the trees, we milled the wood, and then we planed the wood. And this is 145 millimeters by 45 millimeters, so 6 by 2 inches. And you can see here that we put boards like this, and then we put them like this, and it's a really solid floor, and it's just amazing because it gives this warm feeling. My dad didn't want a concrete floor, he just wanted this warmer, softer feeling here in the workshop, and it's just really beautiful. It just adds a lot of nice work environment to this, and knowing that we did this all by ourselves, it's just very, very special. Now underneath, we insulated the entire floor with the wood shavings that we got when we planed this wood on our planer. So we don't insulate walls with wood shavings because over time they sink together and then you have only half your wall insulated. That's what happened to the walls where they tried this many years ago. But we insulate the floor with this. We push them in there, and this wood shavings insulate just as well as, for example, rock wool. Now when you build floors and make your own floors, you cut your own timber, you mill it, and you plane it. It's really important that the wood is much lower in its moisture percentage than what it dries naturally outside in our climate. So that's why my dad is building this wood kiln. The other wood that we had to use in our houses where we are heading now, he had to give them to a friend who had a wood kiln where he was able to dry and get this these last 8% of remaining moisture there out of the wood so you could build furniture or floors with it. Now we're building this wood kiln so we are able to do this ourselves in the future. Okay, now I am inside of my parents' farmhouse. This is the farmhouse, this old one. Not the original one burned down, but this was rebuilt in the early 1900s, and when they rebuilt this, it's still a log house, and they put really pretty flooring in here. Now when we moved here, this floor here, that I'm standing on, was covered in plastic flooring. It looked horrible, and we were going to tear it out and put a new floor in, and when we were putting several sheets of plastic and ugly flooring away, when we were tearing it away, this floor all of a sudden appeared under it. This is a pine wood floor, and the amazing thing about this is that the boards are not parallel, but they're conical. That's how they were milled, in the shape of the log. And so it's like a puzzle to put this kind of floor in. When you look at them over the entire length, you see that they are conical like that. Now here I am in the old farmhouse dining room, and you have the living room right there. And also here were floors that we just kept. This is not pine, this is spruce tree, and it's just a very simple floor. It adds such a cozy, warm, and homey atmosphere for the entire room. You just see in the corners how this beautiful floor was just tucked in the corners, made it fit with so much love, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Now we're talking a completely different kind of wood floor. Scandinavian birch is what I would call this. These are birch trees, also grown on our homestead, that we cut down, that we milled, that we planed, and it is a very, very, very beautiful floor. Now this floor here is very thick and not very wide, and birch is very tough. When we put this in, it was very hard to get it to fit perfectly. These leaf trees, in the drying process, they get some tension in it, and it was hard for us to put this into place. And then you have this old house that we renovated and stuff, and you see that there are some gaps, but for us this just puts life into this floor, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It's much harder than the spruce and pine floors, and with this oil finish I think it looks really, really pretty. Here I'm now in the kitchen in the same house. We had the birch floor in the bedrooms and living room, and here in the kitchen and dining room area we have this floor that is also from trees milled and planed here on our homestead. They grew here. This is spruce again, and we used boards that are differently wide. So here you have a very wide board, and this one is much more narrow, and this just adds a beautiful character and kind of this same kind of style as you had in these old houses, where the boards on the outside, the paneling and the floor, they weren't all the same size, but they were different sizes, and even though we put this floor in here maybe some 12 years ago, it still has this feel of being much older and much more natural. I saved the most beautiful floor for last. This is in our house now. This is the youngest house on the homestead. We're actually still building on it. Because we have done everything ourselves, and we do it as we have money and as we have time and so on. And at the time when we were building this floor, we didn't have wood from our property, so we actually bought this lumber. We bought this floor in long pieces, readily planed, but it was much cheaper for us than a normal floor, even though it looks so fancy, even though it has this fishbone kind of look to it. And the reason for that is that we bought damaged packages in B quality, basically. So these boards, they were long, they were like up to 5 meters, and basically they had a lot of damages on it from forklifts. They had branches that were breaking out, and so that was perfect for us, because as you see, this fishbone system here, these boards are only about a meter long maximum, so we were able to cut away all these bad parts and use this floor, and it looks super fancy and it is super nice, but for a much cheaper price because we got the wood on sale. Now our house is built on a concrete bottom. We had to screw this floor into something. So what we did is we put down some plastic so the moisture would stay in the concrete. On top of that we put some plywood, and then we screwed this floor into that plywood, so it's basically floating on top of the concrete. Here I'm standing in front of some of the wood that we milled. Maybe some of you guys know what kind of lumber this is. You can leave a comment below. But we're just so thankful that we have access to all of this, and we naturally use the lumber that grows here. And it's just an amazing feel to know where that wood that's now on your floor, where that was standing earlier on your property. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. There are lots more videos that we have already. If you haven't seen the wood stove video, check it out. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.